And ready when you are.
All right, so vote
We had a
to
motion to-
approve the minutes.
Aye.
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 Sounds unanimous.
Okay, so Marcy, it's in your hands, I think now.
Yeah. What? It's really quiet.
Okay, we're on budget then. We're next, right?
Yep.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the budget, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but Frank has given the okay to have all the salaries be at a 2% increase, which puts us in a better financial picture. And so going forward, I think that's pretty much the only change we're going to have for the budget for next year.
Yep. Can I ask a question? Has the finance committee, have they looked at our budget and say they're going to recommend it or not recommend it, or do they not touch Article 2 yet or anything like that?
I haven't
know?
heard.
Okay.
Okay. We've purchased some more Overdrive books, and we're hopeful in July to start purchasing some more materials from some print materials when we're doing the curbside will happen.
Yep.
The end of May, we met with the town administrator and the Board of Health that allowed us to do curbside and open the book drop. In that meeting, Frank suggested quarantining items for 10 days, which is a little excessive considering the CDC is recommending 24 hours.
How many hours? What, hours to days?
Yes, 24 hours. The CDC is recommending 1 day for books.
And what are we doing?
10.
10 days.
What did the Board of Health have to say about that? It says they were there as well.
She just agreed with him.
Okay.
It'd be worth approaching Frank and asking him if you could change that, shorten that time span?
Well, and so I asked him once delivery happens, because everyone's quarantining items in their libraries, and most of them are doing anywhere from 48 to 72 hours.
Yep. And
the delivery place said they can't quarantine items, but they're using masks and gloves and they're sanitizing everything. And so I told Frank, I'm like, once delivery, the items in the delivery have been quarantined, do we have to then quarantine them once they come into the building? And he's like, well, as long as you can assure that they have been quarantined. And I'm like, yes, at least for 72 hours. And he's like, that's not long enough.
what did you say other libraries were doing as an example?
Yeah, most of them are doing at least around 72 hours.
Well, how is that going to work? Because will they let us keep the book that much longer out of circulation? We have to hold it for 10 days.
It will hang up in the transit. It's not affecting the patrons' checkout of the materials. It's going to affect more that they're going to see a lag in when things come to them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, we used to get boxes of books a day. So to have 50 boxes of books in the community room, once delivery starts, I'll approach the Board of Health.
Yeah.
They do have some boxes from March that have been quarantined at the sorting location. And so those things have been quarantined since March. So once those come in, as long, like, other than the outside of the boxes that have been touched by the delivery drivers, and they're hard plastic, you could easily wipe those down with a Clorox wipe. Then those items we should be able to check in, no problem. I may send the Board of Health the CDC list of like that books don't hold that stuff. There is really what the CDC is saying, that short of someone sneezing on a book and then you touching it right after they sneeze is really the only issue. So we'll see. It's kind of up in the air. They're not anticipating delivery starting for another week to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want Frank mad at me, and I don't want to create a Board of Health issue.
Yeah. Maybe.
But if everyone else is doing,
yeah. Well, I think if you presented that, this is what the rest of the communities are doing, how do you feel about this?
Right.
Especially if you find we're the only ones that are doing 10 days. That would be
right. I mean, we are.
Yeah, that seems a little excessive, but.
So we still don't have like an opening date. Some of the libraries are thinking about after July 4th weekend opening. But for the most part, it's going to be, we haven't installed the plexiglass yet, so that's a hang up for us. And Frank had initially said in our meeting that maybe after Labor Day.
Yeah.
He thinks the risk of people coming in and touching things isn't worth the small benefit of patrons having to come in and pick up their items.
So who do we have to make a recommendation as to when we would like to see the library open and then present it to Frank, or how is that going to work?
But I think also I'd like to see what the other libraries around us do.
Yeah. And
there is the problem with Brockton as being as close to a neighbor as we are, and they're probably not opening anytime soon. Rockland furloughed all their staff, so they're definitely not opening until after July 1st is when their staff is slated to come back. Abington's the only closest one that's looking at the early July for allowing patrons in. And I think it's going to depend. I think we may make a recommendation, but I think it's really up to the Board of Health and Frank to make that decision. We do have to, for staff's sake anyways, wait until the plexiglass is all up. And they started installing that, but they just have one part of the frame. So.
Yep.
All right. Sounds like what you're going to do is wait to see what the other libraries do and then go from there.
Right. And I have Abington's long list of things that they made some policy changings with, that the director can change the hours as the director feels needed. Children aren't allowed in the library unattended. Even right now, our unattended children policy is 9 and under. I think they upped it to 16.
That would prevent them from loitering. Yeah.
And you have to require, you have to have a ride. We don't want kids just waiting around.
Right.
And then also, say, for instance, some sort of crisis happens and they have to close the library right away. You don't want to be waiting there with a 12-year-old.
Makes sense.
For a parent to come pick them up. They're not doing any outside programming until the end of the year. So I mean, the programming thing is going to be, I think we can control it. You guys as the trustees, But I do think it's, we have to look at numbers.
Yeah.
Like, when can we have more than 25 people in a space? And right now our community room is being used to quarantine the books for 10 days.
True.
So the only space we'd have is the history room, and you can't socially distance in the history room. So,
Right.
like, some of those things have to change before we'll investigate, especially during the summer, doing some Zoom programs. And maybe we can talk about in the early fall doing some outdoor programs.
Sure.
But I don't see baby story time happening anytime soon, because you can't tell a 2-year-old to stay 6 feet away from anybody else. So that's kind of where we're at for reopening. And if you guys next meeting, we'll probably have a better idea of where other towns are, then maybe we can make a recommendation to Frank that we open.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we make a recommendation, we should have the policies of what we're doing in place as well.
Right.
So if we can
And
have
so I
those,
can get the
you can make up some
policies from Abington and send them out to you guys
okay,
for
and then
next
we can
meeting.
adapt them. Okay. That would be good.
Marcy, I just have a question, especially with the children's home. Are they
Yes.
making any comparisons with how they're opening daycares now? And the stipulations that they're having, they've kind of not relaxed them, but kind of reviewing them a little bit better as far as numbers in a space and what the requirements are.
But that's not going to affect us. That's a totally different circumstance.
No, but I didn't know whether, with the children's area, when you can't ask them not to do this and not to do that. Is there any comparison at all as far as working with younger children that you would feel safer if they've already put those guidelines down?
I think this is a voluntary thing. It's not a daycare situation where parents really have to leave their child with someone. I think we can be more flexible, and I would rather see us wait to have the kids come in, especially if the opening isn't going to be till end of summer or September.
Oh, no, I agree. I just wanted to know what's the comparison of what the requirements are for handling little children in the library as along with what they're doing in the other areas. They seem to be getting a little more flexible as they're going on. Whether it's volunteers or being with your parents, to just make people feel a little bit calmer, and not to be on such an edge. I would taking temperatures when they come into the library, or assuming a parent is taking a temperature before they come. Just a thought. For what it's worth.
We haven't talked about our policy yet. Are we going to take temperatures, or are we just going to ask people what are you going to screen them at the door, or just let anybody come in? We haven't established those policies yet.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of work ahead.
And it looks like we lost Sue. We lost Marcy.
We lost Marcy too? Oh my, they're dropping like flies.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Who's here? Kathy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're back, Marcy?
Yes.
Okay.
It kicked me out. Okay. July 4th is on a Saturday. Town Hall's treating it because they're closed on Fridays as a floater. Most of the staff were fine with having that Friday off.
Yeah. Excellent.
Sounds
So
good.
that's what, yeah.
So it's up to you guys how you want to.
Oh, do you want to vote then? I'll move that we close for the July 4th holiday on July 3rd. That's what you want, correct?
Second,
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sweet.
Okay.
Okay, one more thing. The OCLN, the network that we pay a huge amount of money every year to be part of, got one of those PPE loans to pay their employees. And so they used one of the they used the money for the PPE loans to pay all of their staff, and then they still had money that they would have used for payroll in their bank account, and so they've decided to use the money that they would have used for payroll to offset the library's assessment by 6%.
that's great.
And so we can either have the assessment knocked down by $1,383.23, or we can take the money, all of the money, and put it as an overdrive credit so we can buy more electronic materials, or we pay for Library Aware through OCLN, and that's $1,299.89. So if we do that, we'd have $83.34 left over, and we could put it to overdrive. I need a decision from you guys what you would like to do. And
What's your recommendation?
my only recommendation is that we don't use it to offset the assessment credit, because then
Goes back to the town.
we won't meet our MAR for the
Ah,
state. And then
Yep.
also they plan on doing this year and next fiscal year. And then, so if I go to the town in 3 fiscal years and say, by the way, my assessment needs to go up 12%.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be happy with that.
Yeah.
So I think it's shooting ourselves in the foot to take the assessment credit.
yes.
Now, Marcy, I couldn't hear the last, because you're bleeped out. What was the last thing that you said we should do, the third thing?
We can, OCLN pays for Library Aware, which is $1,299.89. So we could use the assessment credit and pay that. And then we can, then we'll have about $83.34 left over to pay for overdrive materials, which is basically 2 books.
What is the Library Aware?
It's a database that lets you recommend books to patrons. And it's built into our online catalog.
Okay.
You can look up for patrons, like, I want mysteries that there isn't a gory death, and it'll give you a list of all those mysteries.
You
Okay.
can filter it then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want that in a motion?
Sure.
Well, which one do you want to do?
Yeah,
Well, that's what you said. You want to do Library Aware and then use the balance for the is it the overdrive?
Yeah.
That's your recommendation? That would be the best step?
I mean, either that one, or we can use the $1,383.23 to do the assessment credit. I mean, to do the overdrive credit.
Okay.
I have no preference. Either of those works great. My only recommendation is I don't want to use it to offset the assessment.
No. What do you think you would get the most bang for your dollar right now?
Maybe the overdrive, because we have been
Okay.
using that a lot. And I don't see that going away anytime soon.
Okay.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Sure. I move that we spend our credit of $1383.23 and apply it towards our overdrive account.
I second that.
All in favor?
We need to vote. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Sounds good. That's all I had. Did anyone have anything they'd like to bring up?
Nope.
No,
think
but I have a
would-
question. I have a question for Michael.
Yeah.
Michael, how did you do on the scholarships this year? I know it's aside, but
Oh, we were down slightly, but it's just 1%. So we ended up doing 134,071 as opposed to last year, which was 135,551. So we did really well, within $1,500 of last year. So overall,
perfect.
even though we had less fundraisers, it worked out okay. Next
Good.
year will be the challenge, Lauren. Thank you, though.
I've been using the curbside pickup, Marcy, and from my perspective, it's worked very well. I don't know how it's worked for you, but I've been very pleased.
It's worked really good. We've had,
Okay.
I'd say, almost 200 people pick up items. I want to say it was like 177 the end of last week. And
That's
everyone seemed really happy. Stephanie put together book bundles of like picture book themes. And that like those are really good because parents don't always know, like, I want Caps for Sale or Dr. Seuss. So to be able to just hand them a bunch of dinosaur books or
Oh, that's
Frozen.
good. Good idea. Good idea.
It's like Stephanie's picks.
Yes.
All right. So when's our next meeting going to be?
Oh, I got to get my calendar out. I don't
Yes.
use my phone. I use a calendar.
Are we meeting in July or not?
We are, just because it's right before town meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So the 15th?
can we meet face to face?
I am very hopeful that we can meet face to face.
That would be my preference.
Well, and I know it's Roberta's preference too.
How is Roberta?
She's doing well. I talked to her before the last meeting. I didn't talk to her this week.
Yeah.
July 16th, it looks like.
Yes, that's what you said.
The 16th?
That's a Thursday, the 16th.
Oh,
The 15th
so
is
the
a Wednesday.
15th, yes.
July
Yep, that sounds
15th.
good. 7
Yep.
p.m.
Yep, and then town meeting is the 27th.
Yes.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Sweet.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Thanks, Marcy.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mark.